Welcome back, team, to another teamTALIMA video. Today we are going to be going over the Unity Rollerball tutorial series. This was the first tutorial series I completed once I got back into my game devin Unity-ness. It was awesome, so hopefully you guys will like it as well. You can see right now I'm just setting up the scene. I chose to create all the objects first. We're doing things in a slightly different order than the tutorials will have you do them if you choose to watch the tutorials, but hopefully you will enjoy it nonetheless. After setting up the main level, we've got our sphere, which is going to be our player, and now we're setting up each individual wall. I'm not being too precise on positioning, we're just doing a general size. Making sure the player is all boxed in. We should be good to go after that. Adjusting the camera positioning. The light is good to go, we don't need to worry about that. And then the next thing we're going to do is start filling up our project menu. We're going to save our scene, I'm just calling it level 1, and we're going to get some folder structure going on. The next thing we're going to create is a material, teamTALIMA blue for the win, and drag that over onto all of our game objects. Now we got our gems. I'm calling them gems, you can call them whatever you want, but we're going to organize our hierarchy as well. We've already done this for the walls by creating empty game objects named walls and gems, dragging the wall game objects into walls and the gems into gems. It's the best way to organize the individual game objects you have in your scene. We're going to position our gem, make sure it's all set to go. We're going to be rotating them later, so I'm putting them on a little bit of an angle, as you can see now. It doesn't matter if they're hovering above the ground or not, as long as they're within reach of the player sphere. We gave them their own material, and now we're just going to position them wherever you want around the level. In the tutorial, they do a flat circle. I kind of randomized mine. It's all good. When we started working with the gems, we deactivated the player, just so that visual didn't get in our way. Now we're going to bring him back. We're going to add a rigid body, which will enable him to roll properly. The rigid body component uses Unity's physics engine, so in this case we can get him to roll around our level without having to code any kind of physics or pseudo-physics or any kind of custom movement. Now we get to the real fun stuff. We've created our first script, player controller. We're going to open up our editor, Visual Studio. I'm using Community 2015. It's free, and Unity actually has a tutorial series on how to install it and set it up to work in Unity. I'll make sure I link to it below. Once that opens up, we're going to want to set some variables. So we're going to need a way to access the player's rigid body component, and we're also going to want to give our player a custom speed for their movement. We're going to get the rigid body in the start function, which is called on the frame a script is enabled right before any of the update methods. Because we're using a rigid body, which interacts with Unity's physics, we're going to be using the fixed update method instead of just the update method. Fixed update is called every fixed frame rate instead of the player's normal frame rate, which makes for smooth physics operations regardless of individual frame rate. So it's important that whenever we deal with the rigid body or anything else having to do with Unity's physics, we use the fixed update. We've assigned floats to the horizontal and vertical input we're getting from our player, and have used that float value in a vector 3, which we've called movement, and now we are adding the force movement to our rigid body times the speed we want our player to move at. And look at us go! It's amazing! Goody goody. Okay, next thing we're going to work on is the camera controller. So now that we have player movement going, we want to get the camera moving properly. We're going to assign a public transform, which we're going to call target. That's going to end up being the player's transform. And then we want the camera to move in late update. Late update is called after both update and fixed update. So as soon as the player moves in fixed update, the camera is going to move right along with him in late update. We've assigned our transform position to equal the target's position plus the offset, which we've set in start to equal the difference between the target's position and our own position. In this way, the camera will follow us around at the proper distance at all times. The next thing we're going to do is head back to the player controller, and now we want to code the collision event, which happens whenever the player runs into the individual gems. So we have gems all around our level. How are we going to collect them? Well, we can use onCollision entry for that, which we are doing. we can use the information we have in Other, which is the collider the player has collided with, and we can check to see if that game object has the tag gem. So if we have collided with a gem, we're going to deactivate that gem's game object. Now we have to create a new tag, create the tag gem, assign that to our gem prefab. Check to make sure it's working, beautiful it is, and now we get to test it. Okay, so right about here I made a mistake because instead of on collision enter, we actually want on trigger enter. The gems do not have colliders that are going to affect the physics of the game. What we want to do is as soon as we run into the collider, we want our code to be triggered. Alright, next thing we're going to set up is the UI. So we want to have a score going for all of the gems we're collecting. We're going to rename that to score, set up some default text, position it, increase font size, increase width and height so it displays properly, offset its position a bit, change its color. Beautiful, beautiful. Now we're going to add a public text variable named score to our player, and then we have to make sure we declare we're using the Unity Engine UI. Otherwise it won't recognize text as a proper variable type. We're also going to create count, which is not the text that we're displaying, but the actual score count that we're currently at. Then we're going to display the text properly, but we can do this in an even better way. We're going to create a custom method called updateScore, where we're going to put all the code for updating our score text. So every time we want to update our score, all we have to do is call that method. We can use it in start, we can use it in the on trigger enter. And then we want to set a win condition where if our score is greater or equal to 10, then we win the game. So we have a new public text variable called winText. We're going to set that to nothing initially at the start of the scene. Then we're going to create the game object, which we can assign to that public variable. Set up all of its properties, positioning, text, color, font size, yada yada yada. We want to make sure we drag that into the public variable winText slot on our player controller script component. And look at this! We've won the game! It's amazing! It's so cool! It's great. Make sure we keep our project organized. We're going to create one more script just to add kind of a cool factor to our level, and this will be the last thing we work on here. I said originally when we were creating the gems that we kind of rotated them and hovered them above the ground because we want them to rotate as the level continues to run. So now we're creating our rotator script, and in the update function we are going to have the transform rotate based off of a new vector 3 with the degrees 30, 15, and 30 times time.delta time. So times the time of the scene for a smooth movement. Let's actually build out our game. To do this, we go to File, down to Build Settings, make sure if we're on PC, make sure we're on Windows in my case, give it a name, build it out, and it's gonna look beautiful. And let's see how it runs. Boop, 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 boop. We win! It's amazing! Congratulations guys, we just completed the Rollerball Unity project. I hope you freaking enjoyed it. This was kind of a fast-paced version, as I'm sure you noticed. But if you enjoyed this video and thought it was cool, please show your support by dropping a like below. It really helps me out. We've just started to grow the teamTALIMA YouTube channel, and I have a lot more videos planned for the future. I cannot wait to get them uploaded. So thank you so much for watching this one today. I'm not sure what kind of level we're gonna build next, but I have a few ideas, and I kind of have something different to talk about for that one. So hopefully you guys will join me for the next video, and I'll see you there. Thanks again for watching, and peace out, team.